Okay.
I want you to comment on Impact Conference 2011, because that's the year that you passed away, or you died and came back to life. So
okay.
So just tell me, what was that like? Was it an out-of-body experience, or just
no?
black?
That's why, one of the reasons why I hardly ever spoke about Impact 2011.
Okay.
For this reason, I didn't know what happened. I went to that service. I was preaching on the supernatural and miraculous. I told the people, God is going to show you tonight. He's going to show his power. He's going to do miraculous things among us. I did not realize I was the thing he was going to use. Okay, I had been fasting. Now, a day's fast is no big deal. But I started getting lightheaded and dizzy. Sit down. I'm dizzy right now. I'm just dizzy. I'm just waiting until my spizzoranctum comes back. And I had to sit down on the platform.
Yeah.
Then
I watched the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then the guy gave
Quite
me a
interesting.
cracker to try to eat, and then I just handed the mic to Brother David Smith and said, I can't. Everything was spinning. Everything was just spinning. And I just went out. Well, unbeknownst to me, when I was talking to my friend Chris Kraft and another guy in the van, they asked me, he says, you know how long you were out? And I thought I was out for like 5 or 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I was out for over 14 minutes.
Man.
Without any pulse, without any heartbeat. There was a doctor there that said I was dead. There was nurses that worked on me. They took my shoes off trying to feel for a pulse. And what happened to me, why I didn't say anything much about it, was that I was totally black. I didn't see any bright light. I didn't hear the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I didn't hear your dad preaching. I was just out. And all of a sudden it was like, whoosh. I just woke up. And I looked down, the first thing I said, who's got my shoes? Who took my shoes? My 2 bare feet are sitting there right now. And I got up, put my shoes on, started preaching. Brother Kraft was there. He said, you'll be okay, Jeff. You'll be okay. And I said, I'm fine. I'm okay. Nothing. Well, I didn't know until this past year that I didn't have a heart attack. They found out I had a stroke. They didn't.
Okay.
See, they sent me home and I had a cardiologist, I had EKGs, I had Slice 67, I had all kinds of blood work. There was nothing. I had no residual damage, nothing. Well, when I had this last stroke last year, the guy said, you know, you've had 2 strokes. You had one about 2 or 3 years ago in your left brain.
Wow.
That's the one I had. And so I'll just tell you right now, I'm on this camera thing. I promise God I'd tell the testimony.
Yeah.
I just feel like telling everybody and everybody in hell, I'm still here. I've been so cardiologist out, ophthalmologist, urinologist, neurologist. God, they could never find out what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the cardiologist thing. He takes my blood pressure. He says, this is amazing. Your blood pressure is 118 over 78. Your pulse is 63. You're like an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find out what made my blood spike. Because I was sitting in Paisanos, reading my Bible, drinking iced tea, when all of a sudden it went zzz. 1 second, just a shock. Zzz. Didn't hurt. It just like, I said, what was that? In about 10 seconds, my lips went numb. Everybody started walking sideways. They took me to the hospital. My blood pressure was 200 over 160. Doctor said, your heart's going to explode if we don't get that blood pressure down. So they kept me overnight, and then that MRI found the 2 strokes. Well, then when I'm with this cardiologist, just as I got ready to leave, he said, I'm sorry, we can't find out what's wrong with you. He said, let me check your carotid arteries again. So he goes like that, and he goes, good grief. I said, what's the matter? He says, how do you feel? I said, I feel fine. He said, your blood pulse is 180 right now. It was just 63. He said, stay right there, don't move. I'm gonna do an EKG. Well, I've had 3 of them. He does the EKG in 5 minutes. He goes, you totally failed your EKG. I'll be back in a minute. I'm sitting there with my wife. He said, I know what caused your stroke now and the one that you had in Colombia. I said, well, lay it on me. He said, you've got AFib, atrial fibrillation, and it comes and goes. And the blood that's in between the 2 chambers coagulates and gets like glue and molasses. And he says, and then when you go out of fibrillation, it pumped that gooey blood clot, and hit the back of your brain and couldn't go up, and it burned out.
Wow.
I said, wow. So I go home that day and I'm thanking God in prayer that at least they found out what was wrong with me and they give me some medicine to thin my blood and I don't go into fibrillation again. So I'm thanking the Lord that they discovered what happened to me. And I've been asking God, well, why the stroke? I mean, I don't want to waste my storm. I don't waste my trial. You're trying to teach me something, show me something. Things just don't happen to people of God just by kooky stuff.
Yeah.
I felt the Lord spoke to me. I got out of the bedroom and I'm walking through my living room going to my office in the house. I'm in the dark. As clear as I'm looking at you, Doc, the Holy Ghost speaks to me. It says, your brother Richard. I found my brother Richard dead in his house. Okay, he was dead and I preached his funeral. And I hadn't even thought about him for years, been like 10 years ago. And I said, I'm standing in the dark, and I said, my brother Richard? What about my brother Richard? The voice says to me, what did he die of? Well, I knew right away. I said, lethal arrhythmia. That's what the doctors, the autopsy concluded. Lethal arrhythmia. I said, lethal arrhythmia. The voice speaks to me. That's where you were headed. And neither you nor the medical people knew what was wrong with you. So I allowed you to have this stroke so it could be discovered, so you could be delivered because you have a destiny.
Wow.
Oh my God. I'm standing in the dark, man. I'm just blown away. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Praise God.
So I'm thinking, I throw my hands up and I say, Lord, I feel like your wonderful man David. In thy faithfulness, thou hast afflicted me. Thank you for letting this happen. I get ready to walk to tell my wife what the Lord just spoke to me about. And I stopped and I said, wait a minute, Lord. All this while, you knew I was suffering from AFib. None of the doctors ever discovered it. Because every time I went to their office, I wasn't in fibrillation. And they can't discover it. Yeah. I said, you could have healed me while I was sleeping, or driving, or preaching, or on a plane. Here's what the Lord said. Yes, that's right. But you would have not known it. But now I've let you know it. And now it will affect your prayer, your praising, your preaching, and how you live for me.
That's so powerful.
Woo, man, I feel like I'm a living miracle. It's just like, wow. You can never possess what you're not willing to pursue. Okay, and you will never pursue until you're fully persuaded.